Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the Ulysse Nardin Freak X, the first Freak to feature a crown. This watch launched in 2019, and the example you see right here is the black DLC titanium model. So the Freak X, a more accessible and more readable Freak, is 43 millimeters in diameter by 13.6 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, it is 49.4 millimeters, and it has a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. All in sapphire and titanium. It's very light on the wrist. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and as light as the watch is, although it's not short across the wrist necessarily, I think you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters in circumference. And it is much flatter than the average Freak. With a sloped case flank, it should actually slide decently underneath the cuff. Taking a look at the strap, it is a rubberized leather. So you can see it's a black rubber on the outside. It's a more natural calfskin black leather on the bottom. We have a sheer cut, a monotone stitch, a lightly contrasting red binding. You can see that this is a Ulysse Nardin factory strap in outstanding condition. And then you can see that the watch has a little perforation pattern on the top to add some definition. We have a blackened titanium double deployment clasp. Note the use of ceramic pin snaps, which maintain the sharp, tight tolerances of the clasp over time. It is a twin trigger release, so you have to press the triggers in to open it up. And as you can see, it is Ulysse Nardin branded right there. Taking a quick look at the case, a little bit more fluid than previous Freaks. Obviously, the crown is an unmistakable signature that this is not a conventional Freak. But you can see that the case also has a lovely lithe grace to it that's missing on some of the other brutally shaped and brutally sized Freak cases. You can see that the case band actually slopes downward. It has a sort of a downward slope, almost like an inverse conical profile. We have a layered mid-case design. We have an individual number plate fixed by bolts, harking back to the Ulysse Nardin marine chronometers, the navigation clocks of the 19th century and early 20th century that the Leloc company famously manufactured, and services to these days. You can see that not only servicing marine chronometers for nostalgia these days, they're also finally finishing modern movements and modern machines. Take a look at the bezel itself, which is a combination of satin and polish. It's a subtle contrast, but a beautiful one. You can see the same on the crown. Taking a look at the crystal, it is dramatically boxed, which is an expensive and upscale way of assembling a watch. Flat crystals are the cheapest. A cambered and boxed crystal is expensive. Now on the dial, we have the traditional carousel, a baguette movement that doubles as the minute hand for the watch. So you have an escapement in silicon, unlubricated. You have a free sprung balance with an anti-magnetic silicon hairspring and a balance made of silicon and white gold for minimal reaction to thermal cycling. So hot, cold, it does not dramatically change the timing of this balance. Now, Ulysse Nardin makes its own silicon. It is one of the few companies in the industry that does. Through its subsidiary Sigatech, bought in 2006, it has the ability to do this without buying the tech from other companies. It's an easier Freak to read than in the past. You can see how it works. The baguette movement is one and the same as the minute hand, and then underneath that, coaxially, we have an hour display. It works through a semi-planetary drive, and then we can all appreciate that this is probably the most readable Freak of all time, not only in the day, because it has clearly marked hour indices, but those hour indices are also well loomed at night. Technically speaking, there's a lot to love. Aside from the unlubricated silicon escapement, the free sprung balance, the anti-magnetic silicon hairspring, there is an automatic winding system, which you can see is much like a magic lever. It's pawl and wheel based. It's got a 72-hour power reserve. It pivots on 21 joules. It has a beat rate of 21,600 vibrations per hour, which is aesthetically pleasing. A slightly slower beat rate with a big balance is always nice to see. And then this has a 50-meter water resistance rating, which is actually quite exceptional for Freaks, as traditionally they would have no water resistance. So 50 on this makes this the sportiest Freak yet. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.